We moved to Sycamore Hill in early September, just as the leaves started their slow descent into autumn. Dad called it a fresh start, though none of us were exactly sure what we were starting fresh from. The house was old, 2 stories tall, with paint peeling off its sides like shedding skin. It sat at the top of a hill, watching the quiet little town below with the kind of posture that made it seem aware. It wasn't the kind of place kids liked, especially not my little brother Caleb. He was 6, curious, quiet, and the type who kept his fears locked behind wide brown eyes. The first time he saw the house, he clutched my hand tighter than usual. "She's here," he whispered. "Who?" I asked, crouching beside him. He didn't answer, just looked up at the attic window, the one with the lace curtain that we hadn't put up. I figured it was just nerves. Moving was hard on all of us, but still that window. It always looked like someone had just moved the curtain. Locals didn't help. At school, kids talked about Sycamore Hill with the kind of hushed dread reserved for haunted places. Stories about a woman, the pale lady they called her, said she lived in the walls. Said if you looked into a mirror on the hill too long, you'd see her standing behind you. Some even claimed she once belonged to the house we now lived in. I told myself they were just stories. I wish I believed them sooner. 2 weeks after we moved in, I decided to explore the attic. I had this feeling, not curiosity exactly, but something that pulled at me like a whisper through a keyhole. The stairs creaked under my weight, each one protesting like it hadn't been used in decades. The attic was musty and dim, lit only by the cracked window Caleb kept staring at. Dust coated everything, boxes, broken furniture, and a pile of moth-eaten cloth in the corner. But it was the trunk in the far back that caught my eye. Heavy, locked with rust. I found a hairpin in Mom's sewing kit and picked it open. I'd never done that before, but my hands moved like they knew how. Inside, there were letters, yellowed with time, tied with brittle ribbon. Most were addressed to someone named Esther May. I unfolded one and tried to read the faded ink. It spoke of love, of regret, of seeing her in reflections. At the bottom of the trunk, I found a photo, a group of people all in black, maybe a funeral, but in the center stood a woman in a white dress. Her face was blurred. Not like the photo had aged, like her face had been scratched out. No eyes, no mouth, just pale. I showed Mom. She barely glanced at it before saying, "Don't bring that filth downstairs." I hadn't said anything about the attic before. So, how did she know where it came from? That night, I dreamed of the woman. She stood at the foot of my bed, unmoving. In the dream, I couldn't scream. I could only watch as she tilted her head and slowly raised a hand toward her face. I woke up gasping. The photo was on my nightstand. I hadn't brought it down. Caleb started talking to someone at night. At first, I thought it was an imaginary friend. Harmless, even healthy. But the things he said unnerved me. "She doesn't like the sunlight," he told me one morning, eating dry cereal at the kitchen table. "She says the light burns." "Who's she?" I asked. He glanced at the window. "The white lady." Mom froze, spoon halfway at her mouth. "Don't encourage that," she snapped. "But she's not real," she said sharper now. "He's just pretending. Let it go." That night, the hallway light flickered, then the bathroom light, then the whole second floor went dark. Dad called the power company, but they said there were no outages. No one else on the hill had a problem. We set up candles. I put Caleb to bed early. Around midnight, I heard something like dragging, like bare feet moving slowly across the floorboards outside my room. But every time I opened the door, there was no one. Then came the humming. Low, female, almost like a lullaby, only off-key, as if the person humming didn't understand the tune, but liked the sound. I recorded it on my phone. I wanted proof. But when I played it back, all I heard was a soft whisper. "She's watching." The next morning, Caleb had scratches on his arms. "Did you do this?" Mom asked me, eyes wild. "No, I swear but her look told me she didn't believe it. Later that day, Caleb whispered to me she didn't mean to. She just wanted to touch me. My skin went cold, because he never told her the scratches were from someone touching him. But I knew. I'd felt it too. The mirror in my room was old, an antique, they said, gold framed, with little flowers etched into the glass like frost patterns. I'd always thought it added character to the place, until I realized my reflection didn't always follow me. It started small, a delayed blink, a moment where I stepped away, but the figure stayed just a second longer. I thought I was imagining things. Lack of sleep, stress. Then one night I stood in front of it brushing my hair, and my reflection smiled. I hadn't. I froze. The smile faded. My hand trembled as I turned away, only to see the woman behind me in the mirror, thin, towering, her skin the color of wet ash. Hollow eyes. No mouth. I spun around. Nothing behind me. But the reflection? Still there. I covered the mirror with a blanket and didn't sleep that night. When I woke, the blanket was folded neatly on my floor, and the mirror was clean, sparkling, as if freshly polished. That day at school, I finally asked an older janitor, Mr. Halford, about our house. He went quiet, glanced around, and said Sycamore Hill's cursed. That house belonged to a woman named Esther May. Went mad, claimed a pale spirit lived in her walls. No one believed her. Until she hanged herself in the attic, I felt my stomach turn. You know what they found carved into the attic wall? He whispered. I shook my head. A mirror. Just a mirror. I started digging. Blueprints. Town records. Anything I could find at the public library. That's when I noticed something strange. The original plans for our house listed 8 rooms upstairs. We only had 7. A missing room. I asked Dad, but he waved me off. You think someone built a secret panic room? It's an old house. Maybe a wall got moved during a renovation. But I couldn't let it go. That night, I followed the sound, scratching, faint but persistent, behind my closet wall. I pushed everything aside, ran my hand along the paneling, and found a loose section, hollow behind it. I pried it open. A narrow crawl space revealed a rotted wooden door, nailed shut. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Instead, I returned the next day with a crowbar and flashlight. It took everything I had to pull those nails out. My hands bled. The smell that wafted out was damp, decayed, like old meat and mildew. Inside was a small room, maybe 6 by 6 feet. The walls were blackened, claw marks etched into the wood. In the center sat a broken chair and a mirror, cracked, covered in dust, and on the wall, written over and over again in red-brown strokes, I see her in the glass. She wants my skin. She is me now. I ran, but the door slammed shut behind me. I was locked in. The flashlight flickered. My breath turned cold. The mirror in the room, it pulsed, as if breathing. Then she stepped through. She didn't walk, she floated, bones cracking as her body moved in sharp, jerky motions. Her face, oh God, her face was now almost mine. My jawline, my nose, but twisted, stretched wrong. Her eyes hollow, dead. She opened her mouth, and for the first time I heard her voice. It wasn't loud, it was like a scream buried beneath water. You wore me well, she whispered. I couldn't move. She raised a bony finger to her face and began to tear her pale skin away, revealing more of my own underneath. She was becoming me. I don't know how long I screamed before the door burst open and Dad pulled me out. He said he'd heard pounding and shouting, but when he looked, the wall wasn't there anymore. Just plaster and beams. No hidden room. No mirror. But my arms, they were covered in dust and splinters, just like the ones in that secret room. And my reflection? It still smiles when I don't. After that night, things were no longer the same. I started hearing whispers through the vents, not just at night, but all the time. Faint murmurs, like someone telling secrets just out of reach. Once, I pressed my ear to the wall and heard my name. Not spoken. Screamed. Dad thought I needed therapy. You've been under stress, he said. All this, house history, hidden rooms. It's in your head. But Mom had gone quiet. She started avoiding mirrors altogether. I noticed her covering the bathroom one with a towel. When I asked why, she just said, sometimes I see things that shouldn't be there. Then the nightmares began again. This time, I wasn't watching the pale lady, I was becoming her. I'd feel my limbs stretching in the dark, my skin turning cold and colorless. I'd wake up and find myself standing in front of the mirror, eyes wide open but asleep. One morning I found scratches on my arms. Not like fingernails, but like someone had tried to carve their way out of me. I knew what she wanted. My life, my skin, my place in the world. I returned to the attic where I first saw the mirror. This time I went alone. There was a loose board near the chimney. Behind it I found a tin box, rusted shut. Inside was a diary, dated 1911. The writing was wild, shaky, but legible. Her name was Maybelline. She came to me through glass, said she was lost, said she was me. I let her in. I should not have. Another page, she doesn't live in the mirror. The mirror is her doorway. Every time I look, I feel her peeling me away. The final entry chilled me to my core. I broke all the mirrors in the house. All but one. I hid it, but it calls to me. If someone finds it, don't look. Don't reflect. She's always watching. I had to end it. I made a plan. We'd leave, sell the house, never look back. But she wasn't going to let me go that easily. That night, every mirror in the house cracked at the same time. The lights flickered. The temperature dropped. My breath misted before me. And then she appeared. Not in glass this time, but in flesh, crawling from the hallway. Her skin hanging like loose curtains, her eyes a void of centuries. Her mouth opened too wide, and her voice came from behind me instead of from her face. "You're already hollow," she said. "Let me fill you." She lunged. I held up a mirror shard, her own face reflected back, and for a moment she screamed, a sound so deep and ancient it shook the walls. Then she shattered into glass, into ash, into wind. It was over, or so I thought. We moved within a week. I never went back to Sycamore Hill. But sometimes I catch my reflection blinking a second too late. Sometimes when I pass by shop windows, I see her, waiting, watching, smiling, and she looks more like me every day.